Hello, I'm Paul,
And I'm Wyatt.
and this is Father Son 49ers Talk. We've been a little bit delayed. We actually didn't get a episode recorded last week, so we weren't able to come out after the devastating news of Jimmy Garoppolo being injured. So while this is a little bit late, we are going to get into the Chiefs game, but we really have to sit down and talk about the, you know, I guess the elephant in the room, which is Jimmy Garoppolo's injury. So, Wyatt, what do you think? What was your reaction when you saw the injury?
So I I had high hopes for the year. I mean, high hopes speaking, just like reasonable but high
Mm-hmm.
compared to other years. And when I saw that, it was just like instant heart drop. Just like not, you know what I mean? Just like instantly, it was like, oh, are you kidding?
Yeah, no, I agree. I was watching the game and sitting there, and he was. We were playing all right. I mean, we were playing well to a certain point, and we were in the game. We had a chance to win the game, and he just went for that extra yard, and it just was It felt unnecessary, and he took a big hit earlier in the week where. Sorry, I was getting feedback. But he took a big hit earlier in the week where it was kind of the same thing, right? Or not earlier in the week, early in the game, where he took a big hit when he was going out of bounds. And I saw that and I was like, man, he needs to not do that. He looked like he was going for an extra yard. And then later on in the game, he didn't even take the big hit. It was before the hit.
It
So,
was that is him trying to cut back into the field for the extra yards when he did it. You could see
mhm.
the bend in the. You could see it. Didn't look happy or didn't look comfortable.
Yeah. So then when it happened, of course, 49er universe exploded and everybody assumed the worst, and we were going to be horrible, and now we're competing for the number one pick, and our season is over. Which, I mean, our season is over, sort of. I mean,
Yeah,
we
our
def
season's over to an extent.
yeah. I mean, so go ahead, explain that to me. What do you mean by by to an extent? Why?
Well, the only reason I didn't have any confidence when you look at CJ Beathard from last year. You as soon as you see Jimmy Garoppolo injured, you assume the worst. Yeah, we're competing worst pick in the draft. We're gonna have our best pick in the draft. We're gonna be top 5 in the picks at least. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy or CJ Beathard comes out and plays the way he did against the Chargers. Just
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a little bit of hope. Like just if he could sustain what he did, it gives you a little bit of hope. Not to what Jimmy G would do, but just hope.
So you didn't believe in the Iowa quarterback?
I believe in the Iowa quarterback when it comes to college.
Oh, yeah, CJ Beathard. Of course, he was the old Iowa quarterback and was
A
picked up
beast.
by the 49ers last year.
He was a
So
beast
last
there as
year,
well.
yeah, he played pretty well for us. But,
Or
we
not,
go
not,
through.
not. I'm not talking about for the 49ers. I'm talking about for Iowa in
Mhm.
college, Big Ten. He was good.
Yeah, that's what I by us. Yeah, sorry. He played pretty well for the Hawkeyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to CJ Beathard here in just a little bit. Now, of course, everybody knows that we have CJ Beathard and his performance this week, but everybody knows that CJ Beathard is the backup quarterback. And we tried out a bunch of quarterbacks. There were a lot of names like Tom Savage that were coming out. EJ Manuel came out. He came out for tryouts. There were a lot of Matt Moore. He ended up not coming, but his was a name that came up. And there was a lot of guys that kind of were brought up and brought into the facility to do as a tryout, to bring in a tryout, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, correct.
Now, of course, we didn't bring anybody in, and there are a lot of people that kind of criticized us for that. I don't know about the main analysts, but I know that within the Twitter sphere or Twitter fear or whatever they call it, that there were some people that were pretty upset about it. Obviously, there was the big Colin Kaepernick thing coming in, and is he a scheme fit or is he not? And what is your opinion? Do you think we should have brought in another quarterback?
I I'm not gonna criticize them for not doing it, just for the sense I'm not there. I didn't get to see what they saw. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard for me to go criticize something if it's not like super obvious. It's like, oh, okay. But if it's not super obvious, and if if things just didn't match up, I'm not going to go criticize coaches for it when I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I didn't see what was going on. So I think we should have, but if things just didn't match up, things didn't work out, then I mean, I'm not going to criticize him for it.
Yeah, and I can understand people wanting us to bring in a quarterback. I even mentioned it. There's Tyrod Taylor because you had Baker Mayfield taking over the position. So Tyrod Taylor, Nick Foles. There were a couple quarterbacks that you could come in and just step into that position and potentially be an upgrade over C.J. Beathard. But the coaching staff and team stayed behind Beathard. And after watching this game, it seems like he definitely has improved from year one. And that is something that was pretty evident. He was making better throws. He was getting rid of the ball faster. I read just a little bit ago earlier today that Beathard said the game has started to slow down and he's able to start seeing things happen. But more than that, I think the big reason why it was really valuable for us not to bring in another quarterback to take over that starting job is that with Kyle Shanahan's offense, with Jimmy Garoppolo gone, what ended up happening is that if we bring in somebody else to the team, they're not going to know Shanahan's offense. And while Garoppolo, his development is going to stop on the field now because of his injury, if we bring in an outside quarterback that doesn't know the system, we stop the development of the other players on the team and on the offense, like our wide receivers, our offensive line potentially, all these new players that we brought in and these young wide receivers. By keeping our quarterbacks on, maybe we don't have as many wins, but we're preparing our players within the offense with a quarterback that knows the offense, knows the scheme, and is able to run it.
Yeah, he's already been here. He knows everything. They don't have to go backtrack the entire team just for around him. I mean, I understand what you're saying there. I mean, try to progress the whole team, not just worry about wins, but turn this year into more of a progression year. Like mature more of the players into what we want them to be year type thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you actually look at the year in general, I think that there was some pretty high hopes for the Niners, and we even kind of bought into it. We're like, maybe we're a borderline playoff team, and we might be with Jimmy Garoppolo. But I think that within the 49ers facility, they may have thought that they had more talent in certain positions than they actually do.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
So we'll have to see what happens with next year. Hopefully we'll bring in a couple more, at least another wide receiver, and we'll continue to build on the team and we'll progress. One more thing. With Jimmy Garoppolo, his pedigree and his development as a quarterback, he's at the point now where he has everything that he needs. He has the tools, he has the vision, he has the football IQ. The only thing that's really missing in the Jimmy Garoppolo development as a quarterback is game time reps.
Yeah, you only can do so much off the field. Like for a quarterback, you only can do so much with looking at the playbook, watching film, practicing against your defense. I mean, I know from experience, you learn that defense. I mean, even if you do scout team defense, stuff like that, you still know the defense. You know the players. I'm sorry, you're going to have to edit that. My mom.
No, you're fine. It's okay. It's no big deal.
But anyway, you know the defense. You know more about the defense. It's a whole lot different. Practices are slower than games. How do I explain this? I don't know. But you have to. You just got to.
Yeah, you have to have the game time reps at game time speed, getting hit when people are out trying to win games. You need that.
Yeah, when your defense isn't letting off of you because you're the quarterback, can't have you hurt, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's going to lose that year, which really is unfortunate because this year we were going to take some bumps and bruises and he was going to develop as a quarterback. He was going to make mistakes. He was going to do those things that we expect a young quarterback to do. And the hope was that he was going to learn from those and develop this year and then move in next year and become that seasoned quarterback that has been through that. So we may see a regression in Jimmy Garoppolo's progression. It may be a little bit slower than what Niner fans were hoping.
Yeah. Makes a
So,
lot of sense.
yeah, it's definitely unfortunate when you start thinking about it in those terms. Anyway, so moving on from Jimmy Garoppolo's development and CJ Beathard, and we have the quarterback thing going on. So what I want to do is we've had some good and we've had some bad, excluding and not really necessarily talking about the Jimmy Garoppolo injury. Why? What are some of your concerns with this team right now?
One that, to be honest, I was more comfortable with than I like to admit now, just for the fact I thought we had more here than we do. I would say DBs, but the safeties, safeties are okay. I like the safeties. I'm going to just narrow it down to corners. A big thing it's just crept in, especially when they played the Lions. It just kind of clicked to me. We really don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have what I thought we had there.
We don't have the depth for sure. We're sitting here, and Ahkello Witherspoon's been playing injured. Richard Sherman is injured now. You start looking at what we have, and our players, maybe we have some injuries that popped up. We don't have depth behind those players per se. And some of the players aren't developing as quickly as we may have hoped. So between those three different things, I think that we've fallen short in our secondary, and it's pretty clear that secondary is going to need some work and assistance.
Yeah, 100%. It needs time. We need to really work on depth in that position.
Yeah, depth definitely needs to be worked on in that position. And in the secondary, we definitely need a pass rush. Wow. We need a pass rush, and that's very clear. In the last 2 years, we have just ignored it. The last two off seasons, just ignored it. That the 49ers, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have to address our pass rush next year.
Yes, they do. 100%.
Yeah. And so I agree with you with the secondary, definitely needs some work. Our wide receivers, I'm not sure what's going on with our wide receivers, but we're not getting open. We're not getting open, and that's something that you can see with the game. CJ Beathard was kind of caught holding the ball a couple times, and when your wide receivers aren't getting open, sometimes you get caught. Same thing that's happening to Jimmy Garoppolo. So we got to scheme these guys open. Now, again, injuries have kind of got into it. Dante Pettis got injured this last game. Goodwin's been injured. And there's just been it's been injuries for sure going on. So one of my big concerns is just our injuries. And, man, so why you sit here and you think about it. And, yes, when we're watching this game, I've heard this a couple other times throughout the podcast, but as I was watching the game, we're sitting there and Westberg gets injured and he's out with a knee injury. Then McGlinchey goes out with a knee injury. Then Staley goes out with a knee injury. And then Pettis is out with a knee injury. And Goodwin is limited. And then you start looking around and you're like, man, what is the difference between the 2000 and Jimmy Garoppolo's is gone and Beathard is in right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching that game, and I was like, what is the difference right now between the 2019 49ers and the 2018 49ers? It was almost the same team.
Yeah. To be honest, it was.
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I was – I heard a couple other people talking about that, but I was watching it, and we played better. I thought we played better. CJ Beathard definitely showed progression and showed that he has developed and grown as an NFL quarterback and that he can play quarterback. He showed that he is a NFL quarterback, at least a backup. He may not be a Nick Foles level backup where he could be an NFL Super Bowl MVP, but he's definitely a competent backup quarterback that can keep us in games.
Yeah. You forgot about, not only injuries during games, but preseason injuries, stuff like that. Jerick McKinnon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of hype behind McKinnon.
Yeah.
He's out. done for the year. I mean,
Yeah.
this
And some of
team
these,
there's so many guys that we have that we expect so much out of. And, like, two guys that probably, like, two of the biggest, besides Richard Sherman, probably the two biggest moves we made in the offseason or technically this was last year, but I'm going to say offseason because, Jimmy G with last year came in. Didn't get to see him a whole lot. We saw a little bit, and then Jerick McKinnon, and we haven't seen much out of either one of them, to be honest.
yeah, no, we haven't seen much out of either of them. I mean, we saw Jimmy Garoppolo go out, and he did play well. He did play well, but he had some hiccups as well. Had some hiccups, and Jerick McKinnon was out. And a lot of these injuries are no contact injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo, he was hurt before he got hit. That was a no contact injury that happened. Same thing with Jerick McKinnon was a no contact injury. Same thing with Matt Breida. The game before, his knee when he got hurt was a no contact injury. So what is going on with the 49ers in these no contact injuries? Is it is it their strength and training program or trainers, or what is that a concern? Is this just standard NFL bad luck, or is there something going on in the facility that is creating a weakness within the ligaments and soft tissue injuries that are happening with no contact?
Yeah, 100%. It's starting to creep up there in my worries. I mean, it really wasn't. I mean, I saw McKinnon, yeah, bad luck. Garoppolo, okay, what's going on? And then it just keeps happening. It's like, okay, now what's actually going on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This should not be happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What is going on? What is happening to these players? So that's something to really be concerned about. Okay, so we've talked about some of the negatives that we've seen as some of our concerns. So what are some of the positive things you've seen?
Some of the positive things I've seen. One really big positive thing I've seen, which no surprise to me, no surprise to you, maybe surprise to a few others, but Mr. Kittle.
Yeah. Yeah, Kittle.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, Kittle, and he came out, and he really did look good during this last game. And a lot of people, I think most 49ers fans know now because it's kind of been a storyline as of last week. But Beathard and Kittle were roommates in college.
Yeah, they were. Same college and
they were roommates. I mean, they lived together. I mean, they're best friends. So they're best friends, and they definitely have a connection. And you can see it there. And I think Kittle, he did have a couple drops again, but he really is developing. He is explosive. He's talented. And I think that he really does have the potential to be one of the number one elite, one of the elite tight ends in the league.
You say potential, and when I get talking about it, I'm saying he's going to be. At this point, I mean, partially because he's from Iowa, and I want to see elite talent out of Iowa. That sounds amazing. But, I mean, he's going to be. If he keeps doing what he's doing at the rate he's doing it, he's going to be elite within a year or two.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that he probably will be. And, I mean, he's already kind of started to show that. I know that in fantasy leagues he's doing really well. His PFF grade, he's grading out really high in PFF ratings.
So. I mean, not just going by stat-wise, but like you were saying, you went into work one day and someone brought up, who are these guys? Kittle and Buckner?
Yep.
Like, who are these guys? I mean, it's not only the stats are showing it, but in-game, people are noticing these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Kittle's a big bright side. I think the other bright side is when the injuries aren't affecting them. Last week we had a lot of injuries, but our offensive line is coming together very nicely. I mean, we had the NFL leading rusher leading up to next week.
Yeah, Matt Breida.
Or last week, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Breida. That was just.
I was
go
talking
ahead.
to a buddy of mine, right? And he was asking me, who should I start my fantasy league? And he was talking, I don't remember who it was. It was some flex guy that should be like a flex starter. And he was like, you're a Niners fan. I don't want you to be biased about this, but who do I start? Breida or this guy? And I was like, start Breida. Just start him. Trust me. He starts Breida, and he wins. Well, he would have lost if he would have started the other guy.
Nice.
He won his week when Breida had a big game. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line is really coming along well, and I think that, as long as they can stay healthy, that's gonna be a really big positive for the team. The other things that are positive is, well, right now, CJ Beathard, I mean, him coming out, that was definitely a positive. He came out and he gave us a chance to win. And that's really all you can ask from a backup quarterback, is he gave us a chance to win. Now,
Yeah.
that last hit that he took, that last hit that he took that was intercepted. When you watch that, and the coaches even said, he's got to see that coming in. He's got to see that blitz and notice it and get that ball out faster. But the part that was unfortunate is that came from the left side, right where Joe Staley would have been if he would have been in the game.
Yeah.
Which was just really unfortunate to see that happen. So, I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about the direction of the team in general. Now, this is a little bit of a concern. I am so frustrated by Matt Breida. The coaching staff, I don't think they really are using him to the full extent of what they can. He was running really well, and then they just stopped running him. And they've done that game after game after game. Him and Morris have almost got the same number of snaps, and it just hasn't panned out, I just don't understand. Not panned out. I mean, it has panned out. They both ran really well, but I just don't understand why you stop handing the ball to Breida. Breida has been just as effective running down in the trenches as Morris, and it frustrates me every time they take Breida out when he's on fire to put Morris in.
Yeah, it frustrates me. It's like, I didn't expect this out of Breida, to be honest. This isn't what I expected. I expected Morris. I mean, looking at him in preseason and stuff, I expected Morris. But when Breida's on fire and he's running amazing, why? Why stop him? When a guy's on fire, why pull him?
Yeah, I agree. It's just frustrating. I don't understand why they're doing it, and I wish that they would just let him go. Let him go. Let him run. Let him do what he needs to do.
Let him do his thing.
Yeah, I really like having Breida. I think Breida is an awesome asset to have. And, man, if we could keep we're going to have Breida next year. If we can get Breida and Jerick McKinnon out on the team at the same time in the backfield, man, that'd be something.
That's going to be like a Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it ends up working out with having the two running backs as we go through. Okay, so let's talk about this game, Wyatt.
Yeah.
So the game against the Chiefs, what was your thoughts?
Game against the Chiefs.
Oh, wait, sorry, game against the Chargers.
Oh, game against the Chargers. Okay, the game against the Chargers. So, I personally want to say we kind of blew the game.
Oh, yeah, we definitely did. I mean, we came out to a 14-0 lead with a pick six and then run right down and scoring right off the first drive.
Yeah. I mean, you come out, you see that, you're expecting a lot out of the game. I mean, started off a game with a pick six and a leading drive touchdown. You expect something, and then comes out and it just drops off. It's like, oh, man. I thought that was ours to take.
Yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate, and it, we definitely came out and we played well, but then we regressed, right? And we allowed them to get back into the game, but then we came back. And my big takeaway from the game, again, the running game was good. We had a couple drop passes. The wide receivers did all right.
Yeah.
But the real takeaway for me is that Beathard looked like a quarterback. He was throwing the ball. He looked sharp. He was thrown to his right, thrown to his left. He was running the ball, which was interesting. So he wasn't taking the hits. He was scrambling out. He took a couple big hits.
Yeah, I saw one where he took off outside of the pocket and he got a couple yards and the linebacker just laid him out. And Beathard just looked around, got back up, and off to go again he went.
Yeah, and then he got the wind knocked out of him that one time. And so the jury's still out with Beathard, and we're gonna go and we're gonna see what happens. But right now, I feel good walking into the game with him as the starting quarterback. I don't feel great, but I feel good about it. I think that he has that kind of grit that I think we're gonna need to make it through this tough season to keep the team motivated to keep playing. They believe in him. And I really think that he's gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, yeah. One of the other concerns I have is the tackling. The tackling just has not worked out, and it continued in this game. We had a we were leading the league in missed tackles, and we didn't fix that.
I mean, they look like, no offense to my team, but I mean, like in our separate leagues, they look like us out there.
Yeah, it did not look good. The tackling just was not there, and that's something that we're going to have to address. And there's some people that think that Saleh, our defensive coordinator, should be on the hot seat. Maybe he should, maybe he shouldn't. I'll tell you right now, it's unlikely that you're going to end up being able to find just a defensive coordinator on the street that's going to be able to step in and be any better than Saleh right now. So that's probably, if he doesn't end up panning out going into next season, we probably end up with another wide receiver, another defense. But it's hard to blame Saleh when you have so many injuries in the secondary and on the field, and then you have people just not executing.
Yeah,
not executing.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to go blame a coordinator when it's just, I mean, there's only so much coordinator can do, to be honest. And then it just comes down to grit and do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So with this game, I don't want to get too much into like the actual breaking down the entire thing. We talked a lot in the beginning. We got to talk a little bit about the Cardinals. But with this last game with the Chargers, we came in and we were like 10-point underdogs. And we came in and we showed them that we can play, that we're still a viable team that can play football, and you're not going to be able to just come and walk all over us. And at the end, we had a chance to win it. We didn't win it, but we were sitting there and we had a chance to go win the game at the very end. So I feel pretty good about that, and we'll see what happens with this next game. So what are your thoughts with the Cardinals? Do you think we're going to win this game?
Because it's the Cardinals, I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not for sure what day and time I'd say no, that we're losing to the Cardinals.
Yeah, right now they're 0-4, and they look like they're probably the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah. But hey, we're supposed to be competing for the first pick in the NFL draft.
Right. Probably not the first one, but we're gonna probably be in the top 10. I mean, that's probably real.
Yeah, that's probably real. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know you were being sarcastic, but that's because that's what everybody's saying. But with this game, the biggest takeaway I have with the Cardinals game is this: we have to win.
Yeah, we have to win. I mean,
it's a
if we don't win, just my confidence in the team's going to go down.
Yeah, my confidence as well is going to drop. But I mean, you can lose any team, but for the Niners, for the players, they have to go in and they have to win this game because they have to prove to themselves that they can beat bad teams. I mean, maybe we can't beat the best teams right now. Maybe we're not a playoff team, but at a minimum, the Niners need to be able to beat bad teams. That's where we're at in 2019. Can we beat bad teams or not? And if we can't, then we have a much bigger problem than we thought we did.
Yeah. This is kind of irrelevant in the NFL, but so in Madden, confidence affects the players' like overall ranking. Just the confidence in themselves and the team. That's like a big one that affects the rating. So it's like it doesn't really.
No, that's a
NFL,
no confidence.
But it does, but it doesn't because it's Madden. But I mean,
no,
it does affect how they play.
That translates to real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That translates to real life. But anyways, so that is kind of a review of the Jimmy Garoppolo injury. We talked a little bit about the Chargers game, some, with the CJ Beathard and the injuries. We talked about the injuries and a little bit of our thoughts about the Cardinals. I mean, we have to win the game, and this is what has to happen. So as a team and a record, we're not really any different than what was probably expected. I did kind of expect us to go. I think I predicted that we were going to go 3-1, not 1-3. And that almost happened. I mean, we almost beat the Chiefs or the Vikings, and we almost beat the Chargers and the Chiefs. I mean, I thought that we were going to lose the Chiefs for sure. I thought that we were going to steal the Chargers, that we probably should lose that game, and we were going to steal it. And I really thought that we were going to come out and shock the Vikings and that they were going to start off slow. The opposite was true with that. So
yeah, they came out firing.
Yeah, and we did not. So
yeah.
I was completely off. You were closer on the mark. You thought we were going to lose to the Vikings, beat the Lions, lose to the Chiefs, and beat the Chargers.
Yeah, I thought we were going to go 50%.
Yeah. Yeah, which I when I gave my prediction, I said that's probably what's going to happen, but I really felt like we were going to steal the game from the Vikings, and we didn't. So, but I mean, if you looked at it and you said, hey, the 49ers, after looking at that schedule, were 1-3 with Jimmy Garoppolo, you could kind of expect that with who we were playing.
Looking at the schedules that we had, that's not an easy first 4 games, by no means.
Okay, well, I don't have anything else for the podcast right now, and it's getting kind of late, and we have to go to bed, and you have to go to school, and I have to go to work. So, do you have anything else?
No.
I don't either, but I love you, Wyatt.
Love you, Dad.
Okay, good night.
Good night.